With an eye on preparing my team for the blank game week in game week 18, I may decide to roll my transfer this week to have the flexibility of making 2 transfers in game week 16. However, I may leave the decision until late, just before the deadline, as there are some fixtures this week that could offer potential point hauls by select key players. Many of you may still have your first wildcard, which you would want to use this week or next. Do remember the first wildcard will expire in game week 16, so depending on what you plan, players you choose this week could be just a 1-week punt before you hit the wildcard button. There are a few defenders that stand out this week, the most obvious ones being Andy Robertson, 25 FPL points in the last 3, whose Liverpool faced West Brom in game week 16. Also Yannick Vestergaard of Southampton, currently the second highest goal scoring defender in the league, who is a great option for a 1-week punt against Fulham. However, the one I'll talk about this week is Stuart Dallas, tied with Vestergaard as the second highest goal scoring defender with 3, and only 1 behind Kurt Zouma. Among defenders, only Lewis Dunk, surprise surprise, has taken more shots on goal than Dallas in the last 5 game weeks. In fact, Stuart Dallas has taken 9 shots on target this season and has been afforded 3 big chances, the most for any defenders. Despite his natural position at right back, he has been played in midfield numerous times this season by Bielsa, and as seen last weekend against Man United, this positional change saw him surge forward from midfield to smash the second consolation goal for Leeds from 20-25 yards out. Dallas has been with me since game week 1 and has been Mr. Reliable in the past 5 to 6 game weeks. More so last week with 5 points despite conceding 6. Leeds next face Burnley in game week 15 and West Brom in game week 16. Although Burnley are quite defensively tight, but Leeds have only failed to score just twice this season. Their attacking expansive football, although probably flawed from a defensive point of view, because they concede almost as much as they scored, have been very exciting to watch, and rampaging fullbacks like Dallas will always find space to shoot or provide an assist. Mo Salah produced the ultimate shithousery of last game week, or maybe this season, coming on as a 57th minute sub and went on to score 2 and assisted 1. He's definitely on a hot run of form, so West Brom beware. It's safe to guess that Mo Salah will be the most captain this week, and I cannot find fault with that. 51 points in the last 5 game weeks, the highest among midfielders and forwards, also the most goals in that period, and second for assists behind Jamie Vardy, Kevin De Bruyne and Anthony Martial. But no player in the league has taken the most shots on target in the same period. Opponents West Brom have conceded 10 in the last 4, although a majority of those have come when they were down to 10 men. And despite West Brom limiting Spurs, Man United and Man City to just 1 goal this season, is anyone really going to not back Liverpool to score more and for Salah to get in on the act? After West Brom, Liverpool will travel to Newcastle, and that is another fixture you may want to keep the armband on Salah as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin remains the 3rd highest forward for FPL points, and again he snuck a cheeky assist in game week 14 to maintain his run of only blanking twice this season. So non-owners are probably kicking themselves for ignoring him this far into the season. Calvert-Lewin leads for most shots on target among forwards this season with 24 and second for shots in the box. He has been afforded 16 big chances behind Jamie Vardy and their next opponent. Sheffield United are the 3rd worst defence for shots conceded after 14 game weeks. The Blades have conceded 10 in the last 5 and have not kept a clean sheet this season. I don't believe there are many in that Everton team that can score goals. I've lost faith in Richarlison, and there's no one I can probably name if you ask me. Yes, there's a possibility of the odd goal from Yerry Mina or Sigurdsson and someone else, but Calvert-Lewin is definitely the one you would want to own for this encounter. I wouldn't even bet against him getting a return against Manchester City in game week 16 given his record of 4 goals in 6 games against City. Jarrod Bowen leads for the most attempted assists by any West Ham players this season with 14 and is also the Hammers' leading goal scorer. As I mentioned on one of my previous episodes, I like the fact that Bowen is on corners and that is always a factor to consider whether to choose one asset over another. And considering the fact that Brighton are 4th for the most goals conceded through set pieces, puts Bowen in a positive light. Bowen has created 2 big chances in the last 5 and has also attempted 9 assists in that period, in which he has also been involved in 3 of 6 goals scored by West Ham. I currently own Bowen, and despite the 2 blanks in the time that I've owned him, I'm hopeful for a return this week and possibly in Game Week 16 against Southampton. Game Week 14 was the first time in many game weeks that West Ham has failed to score, and it's not often that I say this, but I simply cannot see how they cannot score playing at home against Brighton this weekend. I will put my money on Bowen getting at least an assist in that one. Finally, Harry Kane. He and Spurs will face Wolverhampton Wanderers this weekend, and just looking at some historical stats here, Kane has come up against Wolves 3 times in the Premier League and has scored 2 goals in 2 separate matches for Spurs. Wolves are still struggling to get into any kind of rhythm so far, despite that win over Chelsea in Game Week 13, but they succumbed to another defeat at Burnley in Game Week 14. Kane posted his 2nd consecutive blank last weekend, and it's not something you can say often about Kane this season. Despite that blank, Kane has taken a total of 16 shots on goal in the last 5 game weeks, the 3rd highest among forwards, and 6 of them has been on target. Only Bamford, Benteke and Vardy has taken more shots than Kane. Wolves have not kept a clean sheet in 7 games, and Spurs will be desperate to get back to winning ways after back-to-back losses to Liverpool and Leicester. Just to note, after Wolves this weekend, Spurs will go against Fulham in Game Week 16, so you would want him, if you can afford him this week, or to bring him into your wildcard team in Game Week 16.